Coming up next on Today, we'll be doing the Obama Corner, our daily program giving overviews of Obama's upcoming New World Order agendas, most of which is aired live here on NBC News from the United Nations Security Council in New York. Coming up next here on Today, so stay tuned.
From NBC News, this is Today with
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for watching NBC's Today Show. We're going to be doing now this overview of Obama's Corner. It's a program intended to explain to those in the communities in our area of the United States and also in other regions of the world where Obama's influence has obviously become a global acceptance to adherence of authority to his global world order. Recently, Obama was stating some statements in the White House because of the fact that Donald Trump was forced to resign his position as President of the United States when Obama took over as the global leader, first becoming the identified national president of the United Nations in New York, and then the nations of the world in compliance with his rules of allowing him to take control of the global government that's been established. They then basically surrendered their authority of their individual nations, expulsion really of their sovereignty as a nation to Obama. And now we know the inevitable outcome has been a global government of compliance to Obama. And most countries have accepted Obama, although some areas of the world haven't. And that's why he does these daily updates to the United Nations of what is happening in countries that have not as yet complied with his acceptance to world control. Some areas of the Middle East have initially said categorically they would not accept Obama's authority, but then when they found out he was their Mahdi, they decided it was time to adhere to him because he proved his power by obviously destroying Damascus, and then he destroyed Istanbul. And these were all signs of his superiority as a global leader. To this day, nobody understands how he had the authority to do what he did, but we still are in awe of his power and his just unlimited power that he seems to control at any thought he has. It just happens, and as a reporter, I can say I don't see how he does these things, but he has everyone's total they have nothing else to do except to bow and worship him. That was another stipulation he instigated right after he took control of the White House, was that people would worship him. And in the last 6 months, he has now taken up full residence in Jerusalem, that ancient biblical city of known world events that have taken place since actually during the time of the biblical accounts of various things that have taken place there. He went through the procedure, as we know, to take over Jerusalem first, but then he had the Sanhedrin in Jerusalem to comply with his order of having the temple rebuilt. And in doing so, he had the Muslim Dome of the Rock segregated from the Temple Mount that he constructed. They aren't saying how long it will be now before he takes up that residence, but we know that it didn't take very long for him to have it constructed. It's almost really supernatural that it was able to be really constructed and erected so quickly. Nobody understands how that happened, but somehow or another Obama did it, and now he has full control of that section of Jerusalem that was predominantly controlled by the Islamic Muslim community. He has actually also controlled acceptance by the Philistines, the Palestinians, the groups that were in Jerusalem before even Israel was re-established as a nation in 1948. And now Obama has really gotten all these different factions of the world to come together in peace. And, it's unbelievable what he has done in the short time that he has taken this position as global leader of the world. As you all know, also Pope Francis has come into complete collusion with President Obama, and he has taken that title away from Donald Trump. He has now taken up residence as the president also of the United Nations, but pretty much he has taken the global stance as a global president. The United Nations instigated their global constitution, essentially destroying the sovereignty of every nation on earth. And this is a part of Obama's plan for control of the global system that he's already begun. We understand he'll be making public statements shortly from his new residence in Jerusalem. But again, it's still unclear when he intends to take up full residence there. He keeps moving back and forth from Jerusalem to New York to do these announcements that he makes from the United Nations Security Council. And to this day, we still can't say his next stage, his next point of control will be what. Where will he be next? But these are some highlights of his last transcription that he posted on his webpage. I'm just going to shortly read over this. The first thing he said is that those nations in the Middle East that at one time existed as separate entity countries are now pretty much controlled by his global compliance government that he established in the main part of Jerusalem. But he's also has instigated a curfew over countries like Jordan. Saudi Arabia has completely gone to acceptance of whatever he tells them. We know Iran was the first country really to comply with Obama's demands when he took over. And since that time, It looks like we know Syria has already gone into compliance, but they were one of those rogue nations that said they will never accept Obama. But now they have also accepted too. So this has been an ongoing thing for 6 months now, and all the facts we've been hearing is pretty much whatever his government tells us, because we don't have individual responsibility or even the freedom to speak out and find out these things on our own initiative. He's pretty much controlled what we can telecast on television and on radio. But getting back to his statement, he says that the Middle East is pretty much controlled now by his government that he established in Region 2. Now, the Region 2 represents Europe, the Middle East, Russia, China, most countries in that part of the world. And Region 3 represents those countries in South America and Australia. And Region 1, of course, is the North American continent, and that includes Canada, what was Canada, and other parts. But it's pretty much divided now into 3 separate regions, and these are all parts of the country, of the world, that he has systematically taken over. And it's now pretty much all established, and all we know at this point, ladies and gentlemen, is to say to all of you watching that you should continue listening for new updates from the Obama New World Order office. The regional location would be in Jerusalem. He pretty much has said he will keep it the way it is as the name Jerusalem, but he has established his own area of Jerusalem is being renamed to Obamaville. And Pope Francis, as we know, he's not really a pope anymore. He took up the position as his official prophet to Obama's world government. Also, the world religion now is established as being Obamaism. It is no longer be considered to be a worship of just him, but what he stands for. And no one else will be permitted to believe in anything else. He has said it systematically over and over again that anybody who defies him will be executed, tortured, not specifically in that order. But he has said that he will not permit anybody to stand against him. And most people realize by now that he already had instigated his mark on people when we started seeing those Gal 666 kiosks going all really up everywhere in the world. He first said it was to help identify the global population, so we knew exact numbers of how many people were alive on the planet. Then he decided it isn't so much that as it is for the control of people and what they can get, because those who did not worship him would not obviously get his mark, and then they were systematically hunted down by his global compliance division. And now pretty much the entire world is under total submission to him. There are some rogue nations, as was stated at the beginning of this broadcast, that are still in really defiance to his authority, but they're saying these are very small groups of rebellious factions in certain countries where they still, as yet, have not accepted Obama. That includes Turkey. There are some areas of the former Federation of Russia that are still trying to retaliate against Obama's forces. North Korea has totally gone in respect to accepting Obama and his philosophy. We know that for a fact because he said during the time he was the president of the former United States that he was a socialist. And Kim Jong-un actually, he was already a socialist and a communist, because that's why he was trying to instigate these missile attacks against various parts of America. It never got that far because Obama had by that time already taken over. But it's an ongoing situation, to say the least, that we try to do these updates each day here on Today to let you know, really, is there anything up to date or newer happening that Obama has instigated. And to tell you the truth, it happens so quickly that we can't get the information out fast enough. But we've just gotten another statement here from the United Press International. This is one of the groups that Obama has sanctioned for giving out official information through his office in Obamaville. They're saying Obama has now destroyed any and all resistance in those Muslim countries where there was some resistance happening in the outskirts of Islamabad, some parts of what was the former Federation of Russia, Kazakhstan, and some of these other places were still rebelling against Obama. They have also been wiped out. This is pretty much Obama's instigation of compliance. If you don't accept and you don't if you don't give up resistance, he's already said he would annihilate you. How does he do that? Well, you've seen it on television many times. He's using not only nuclear weapons, but he's also using the power he possesses to pretty much eradicate them. I mean, some towns have just basically totally disappeared population-wise. It's like they were there maybe 2 or 3 hours ago, and then when we go back to try to find out what's going on, they're not there anymore. They've disappeared. And all of this we contribute to Obama himself. He has the power to basically eradicate any resistance, and whether it be through actual arms or his supernatural power, it's being done, whether or not people accept it or they don't want to accept it. Because he doesn't play games. He gets rid of you if you're not complying with his demands. This is all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen. The United Nations Security Council will probably be releasing the transcript of the most recent statement he's made. He will not allow us to telecast them live because he's concerned of the possibility of a retaliatory strike against him or against his legions, those who represent his power in other parts of the world, and he's controlling when and where he gives out the information to not only protect himself but also to protect the people who are working with him. So if we get any new information, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get back on the air here shortly to tell you about it. But until the next telecast, this is David Carter.
Obama announces release of tactical nuclear weapons deployment in Ukraine. These live shots have just been obtained from the field. Breaking news shortly on Today, so keep watching for additional information. Later, more and more illegals flood into the Region 1 zone, causing more executions of subordinates who refuse to mark them. Many claiming such markings violate their religious beliefs. This on the verge of startling facts that Christians are being targeted more than any other religious group in the world.
Also coming up, more outrage over Obama's use of nukes from world leaders. This and more coming up.
From NBC News, this is Today.
Go, I say go away, you bother me.
The heartbreaking video of a 5-year-old Syrian boy named Amran sitting in an ambulance after being pulled from the rubble after an airstrike in Aleppo focused the world's attention on the horrors of the war in Syria, with 136 million views on Facebook alone. But there are much worse images coming out of Aleppo every day now, where in the past few weeks alone, 400 people have been killed, at least 100 of them children. Just days ago, the State Department called for a war crimes investigation of the Syrian regime of Bashar al-Assad and its ally, Russia, for their bombardment of Aleppo.
children. Think of that picture we all saw of that 4-year-old boy with the blood on his forehead because he'd been bombed by the Russian and Syrian air forces. Children. That picture of that little 4-year-old boy in Aleppo with the blood coming down his face while he sat in an ambulance is haunting. And
لا لأنني بيحبون وصلاة بيحبون وصلاة لا لأنكم بيحبون بيحبون